Did the Chicago Bears avoid a Daniel Jones-like situation by trading Justin Fields when they did? Let's talk about it. Listen, if you're new to the channel, it's your boy P Kid. This is the Windy City Breeze. Do me a favor because YouTube be playing us. I need you to like, I need you to share, I need you to subscribe. Of course, as always, leave the review. Get in tune so we can continue to give you this fire content. Let's talk about this because if you remember, Daniel Jones and Justin Fields at one point were in very similar situations. Similar to the point where everyone in the league at one point agreed that, especially in Justin Fields' case, that the Chicago Bears were ruining that kid. They did not give him the support. He did not have a line, and coaching just did not work out. And so on several fronts, it was been said that we ruined Justin Fields. And I agree. Most of you all who watch the show know that we agree. Now, most of you all who watched the show did not agree when it came on to moving on from Justin Fields. And I was one who was definitely pro move on for two reasons and two reasons alone. You did not have any consistency to know what you were getting, and you would have to start having those conversations of paying him. What the heck does that have to do with Daniel Jones? Well, in like manner, Daniel Jones was in a similar situation where there was a carousel of different coordinators. There was a change in head coach. They did not have an O-line. And in so many ways, that kid was ruined. So much so that John Mara, president of the New York Giants, had said, and he is on the record saying it, we did everything we could to break that kid. And that's why he gave him a second shot. And that's why he offered him that contract extension. And that's why we end up getting the meme that is now Daniel Jones with his 160 million or whatever it was, broken down over 4 years. Now, a lot of money for a kid that you didn't know had it. But I did at the time, and a lot of people clown me for it, I did appreciate the fact that the president of the organization stood up and said, hey, we did this. We created this mess. We have to right this ship. And it did take some time, but you head on into this season where there is now a decent line. You do have more targets. The run game, you let go of Saquon. That's always going to be some point of contention. But now it became a situation of if the kid can be consistent, now we can sit here and say we can move forward. We have it. Oh, by the way, Brian Daboll, someone who we all wanted to be a coach within the Chicago system, guess what? He's over there too. In the first year he got with Daniel Jones looked good. 92 QBR, 92.5 QBR, I think. He had some good moments. Threw for the most yards in his career, if I'm not mistaken. Daniel Jones was also really good with his legs. Could actually make some plays. They called him sneaky fast. Y'all know how that go. But at the end of the day, it was a matter of whether it's apples to you or apples to oranges. There's a lot of common similarities to this thing. There's some common ground here. The one thing is, organizationally, they were not prepared to sit there and develop a QB talent, which is saying a lot considering they just had a Hall of Fame quarterback that they just moved on from. So you would think that there would be some type of succession plan, and it wasn't. In the Chicago Bears case, we definitely didn't have that. We did not have the infrastructure to sit there and have the hope to develop a QB. In fact, we've never done it in our career. The difference between Chicago is that in itself. The difference between Chicago and New York is we've never had an Eli Manning level of quarterback. And Eli Manning was the definition of mid. Like literally, although he is a Hall of Famer, when it comes to the Hall of Fame pantheon of QBs, he's the most mid of them all. Like he literally has like I think his it's kind of weird. It's like 500 on like several sites. He's like he broke even, like literally just broke even on several statistical categories. So much so that you couldn't say he was a scrub because he beat the GOAT twice, but you definitely couldn't say he was like super good. He's like someone who just got hot at the right moments. Chicago's never even had that. When we did have something like that, it definitely didn't go as far. We didn't have the O-line. It was bad. Now, again, what does this have to all do with each other? Well, when it came down to it, Chicago had admitted, and we all had seen, that they didn't do right by Justin Fields. Matt Nagy sent that kid out there to die. The schemes didn't make sense. We sit there and fire Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. We bring in Ryan Poles. We get him with this coordinator who tried to change his entire way of playing, did not sit there and actually build an offense with his skill set in mind, but tried to change him to fit his system. And it just didn't work. And along that way, Justin Fields ended up looking like a completely different quarterback than he did in college. And by the way, although it's not my preferred style of quarterback play, I do believe that Justin Fields, if he had a system that was catered to him, would have been better off and that would have skyrocketed within this league. He would have at least had the same trajectory as Jalen Hurts to some degree. It didn't happen. And while Ryan Poles is a player's GM, and in so many ways he understood, hey, we didn't do right by this kid, which is why he had such a soft landing going to the Steelers, it was already clear that the damage had been done. There's a couple games late in that stretch where right before the decision was made to go ahead and move on, where it was like, Justin has to make those throws. And many people are going to sit here and criticize me for stating that. And they're going to sit there and talk about how Caleb Williams has issues at times as well. And then the biggest thing I'm going to say is year 1, game 10 versus like game 35 to 40, multi-year quarterback. Shut up. It's not even in the same realm. What is in the same realm, though, is that we can definitively say that Poles didn't feel comfortable moving on, even if he did not give him the extension, even if he just picked up his 5th-year option, he did not feel comfortable taking that gamble and chose that if he was going to still sit there and have to develop a quarterback to start anew financially and just from a space of, hey, this wasn't my guy, this wasn't, most GMs come and pick their own QB, it made sense. You don't have to like it. It made sense. Because what could have happened is the very thing we just saw play out in New York. Where you sit there and you admit, hey, we didn't do right by this kid. And you go out and you get all these weapons. Maybe you get the line together and he still doesn't make the throws or move the offense the way you want to. And the funny thing about that, I don't know if most people understand this, is Justin did get the opportunity to show and prove that. He is 4-2 as a starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And in that 4-2, the stats were not great. They were good from the aspect of they were winning, they were moving the ball a little bit down the field, but you had receivers complaining. George Pickens definitely gave a very, I want to say, he gave a very PC answer to that situation about getting the ball, things of that nature. And Mike Tomlin said it himself. They needed something different in the offense. They needed to move the ball in a different way. It's not to say that Justin Fields was egregious or bad. He definitely wasn't Daniel Jones bad, but it wasn't what they needed. And just the first game back, Russell Wilson had the most passing yards in the game for the Steelers this season, and had 3 touchdowns, 2 of which would make up about half of the passing touchdowns that Justin Fields had over 6 games. It's to say that, hey, Justin could be good or could have been good, but there's a lot to unpack and there's a lot to coach. And if Justin was playing well to the point that he deserved and still deserved that starting spot, he would still be starting and not be used like Taysom Hill. But Justin himself said he didn't play well enough, which goes to tell you that, hey, even the player himself says, hey, there's a lot that I still need to improve in, which is totally fine by me. Everyone develops at a different rate, and we all know that his first 2 to 3 years, especially dealing with this team right here, was not great. So it's not an indictment on the player, but it is acknowledging the situation as it is. Justin Fields wasn't the QB that they needed in that situation. And they are in a better situation than Chicago is, which tells me that Justin Fields would not be the QB we would have needed. I want to sit here and I want to say this once, and I don't want to say this to be derogatory toward Justin, and I don't want this to make it seem as if I'm sitting here trying to preach for Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is a rookie, but this rookie had moments and flashes from the passing from the pocket and his ability to make plays for others that I I would have struggled to see Justin make. That's not to say Justin didn't have good moments. Justin had a lot of good moments here. A lot of them were with his ability to use his legs. But that's also the issue. We want a QB to pass. We need a QB to prioritize the passing. And maybe Caleb does it a little too much now. But that's still the growing pains of a rookie QB versus someone who could be already set in their ways and having to unlearn some things, which Chicago has never done well in helping and assisting QBs in those situations. It's never happened. If it has, you let me know, because in my opinion, it can't have ever happened because Sid Luckman is still up there with one of our best players of all time. Can't. Mm-mm. So the move it had to be done. It must be done. And it was done. Now the problem I have with the whole move is if you make the move for that QB and you tell the city we're moving on from someone who literally put his blood, sweat, and tears to try to make it work in Chicago, and I do give Justin that. He showed up. He didn't say much. He wasn't extremely derogatory toward the coaching staff when he could have been. He was he was a supreme professional. I give him that. I would have sat there and just let it ride. He was the ultimate professional though. That said, you still needed to do the right thing and make sure that your new QB has a better situation. I do not believe that Justin would have been a better QB than Caleb Williams. I do believe the ceiling for Caleb Williams is higher, but I do absolutely believe that Justin Fields is a better athlete. And that's just like, you can't mistake that. The kid is a better athlete. It's a bigger body, bigger frame, runs faster. I think we make jokes on the show. Caleb Williams scampers, skibbity bap, skibbity bap. Justin Fields runs, and he'll run through you. And so realistically, both situations, I do believe that Chicago is more poised for a QB that came in a little more ready for the passing game like Caleb Williams did, because the ability he has to read the defense and stuff like that was something that Justin did not come in with inherently. And at the same time, it was nothing that the coaching staff absolutely was comfortable with. Now, whether it was coached out of him versus whether he had it is an argument to be had. But at the end of the day, we still didn't see it. Whereas from day one, we did see Caleb may have that ability because they trusted in him to do so. Something that even with Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus didn't seem evident with Justin Fields. So this video is to say for those who were on the fence or just hopping on a bandwagon because they got to see Caleb struggle a little bit in his rookie season and want to say, "Oh, y'all think y'all miss Fields now, huh?" No, it wouldn't have worked out. It didn't work out. We move on. In these situations, just like Daniel Jones, that they have to move on from, goes to show you that. Because at the end of the day, what if we kept Justin Fields and we struggled the same way that we just saw Caleb struggle? Everyone would be sitting there having a conversation. You sat there and you didn't take the chance to get a new QB. Now look at you. Now you have to sit there and wonder if you're gonna be able to find somebody that you still have to develop a year later. No one would have given him any credit. No one would have given Ryan Poles any credit for sticking with Justin Fields. They would have absolutely murdered him for sitting there saying, "Hey, we almost ruined this kid. Let's give it a shot." Just for him not to be able to matriculate the ball down the field the way we want. Shout out to Joe. It wouldn't have happened. And most of you all as fans know that. You just sit there and you make comments to make comments. And that's okay. This is what it does to us. This is what Chicago sports does to us. It sucks. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, we all know for a pure fact that it's one of the most high pressure situations to be in as a GM. He was darned if he did and darned if he didn't. And we get to see that firsthand. And we saw it firsthand. He made the move and people killed him. Kid comes out, struggles a couple games, they killed him. Kid balls out a couple games. Oh, look at that. Now they get quiet. They want to sit there and make these grand comparisons. Now, we did say generational talent. I do agree with that. And I still think that he can be. But I also think that Justin Fields can be. They're generational in their own right. Not many people could come into Chicago with this type of adversity, this type of up and down leadership, and still be in somewhat of a competitive situation with their peers. I want you all to understand that Caleb Williams is still in a back and forth situation from a production standpoint as his peers, and he's in one of the worst situations. Yes, he's not that far from Jaden Daniels. He's not that far from from Drake May. Heck, he's not that far from any of them. The only person you could say has the worst situation is Drake May, and you look at that situation, and at least they acknowledge it and they move forward with it. We just fired people mid-season in this rookie's career. None of them are dealing with that right now. So yeah, this entire thing goes to show you that while in hindsight, it was the right move because there was no way you could guarantee that Justin Fields was going to blossom with the new OC in this situation. It was no way you can guarantee that. But you know what you did have more of an opportunity of? Getting the same old, and seeing exactly what he did in Pittsburgh, and it not be exactly what you need. That opportunity was just as high, and no GM was going to put themselves in that crossfire. Those are my thoughts. I want to hear yours, man. Whether it's love, whether it's hate, put in the chat. I will be in there with you. Till next time. Peace.